What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Riff Revival, episode 12. Doesn't seem like that many, but that's 12 weeks of creating videos, 12 weeks of doing this. It's a long time. 3 months of Riff Revivals. It's been awesome. Today, we're going to be continuing the riff from last week with the 7-string, right, y'all? The Ibanez Geo. If you're new here, my name is Alan. I'm an audio engineer, audio software developer, guitarist, all kinds of stuff. I do all kinds of things. I wear so many hats. It's crazy. Every week I write a new riff, or I continue writing the riff from the week before to add on to the song so we can write complete songs. If that sounds like something you're interested in, like, share, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff. So I recently got a 7-string and it rips. I'm still kind of learning how to play the 7-string. And I recently acquired the Quad Cortext as well. So I've been having fun with a 7-string and the Quad Cortext. I do have an idea, actually. I wrote this riff last week when I was writing the other riff. So this is going to be fairly easy, pretty straightforward to get through all of this, hopefully. Also, in this video, I'm going to show you a cool little trick that I learned with Axure that makes things a little bit easier, maybe, depending on who you are, what kind of workflow that you like. Basically, I figured out how to export tabs from Guitar Pro into Axure with the key switches already on it, so you don't have to do your key switches. The only thing you would have to do, you would have to manually adjust your velocity layers and manually input the left-hand slide noise, and that's pretty much it. So if you do have a riff with left-hand slide noises, then you would just need to manually put those in, because those are more like in between the notes. In Guitar Pro, you can't really program a note in between notes. It's easier to just go ahead and get the bass riff programmed with all the key switches and then export it into Axure. This is very helpful for people that don't want to do it twice. So say you have a riff programmed in Guitar Pro. You can just take an old tab file and do what I'm going to show you later in this video. You're going to be able to just export that as Midi into your DAW, put that on Axure, bam. Then you already have your riff basically programmed. I mean, you might have to tweak it just a little bit, but it could probably streamline you just a little bit. It's just another way to work with Axure, and I thought it was pretty cool. Anyways, this riff is pretty heavy. The part that I have planned after this is going to be sort of like a clean thing and then another riff. Let's track it and see what happens. I had an idea for the riff. I don't even know what to call it. It's got a unique sound to it. That is the idea for the riff. Before that, though, we do have an idea for a clean thing. So let me head on over down to the DAW. Head on down to the DAW, grab a couple root beers at the DAW. Yeah. I don't even have Cortex control open, brother. Man, I'm slacking today. Okay, so AKA Neural BSP Quad Text Control. Okay, so we can turn the gain down and we're going to go up to the next pickup selection. Okay, I like that so far, so let's track it. It's going to go straight into clean guitar. Not sure if this is going to work. Might be too busy. I come up with a little guitar thingy that might work. Okay, now we're going back to distortion. Now we're going to do the main riff, the main one I thought of last week. I'm going to try to track it. That was sloppy. We could probably get that better. Okay, it's a little sloppy, but I'll tighten these up later. But let's copy paste it. Okay, so that is the basis of what I'm going for. I could add some more layers and everything, but really what I want to do is just go ahead and get the drums laid out, get the bass laid out, just like a core rhythm to see where we want to go with it, because I'm not sure if this is exactly how I want it to go. And then we'll figure out what kind of leads or layers can go on top of it. Now, I may not get to the leads and layers today. I am going to go over how to do that Guitar Pro and Axure thing. That may take the majority of the video, but for right now, I think this and then putting some drums and bass on it will be good to go. So I'm not sure if I'm going to have drums during that clean part. Maybe. We'll maybe see if we can do like some effects or something. But we're going to really just kick in right here when the distortion guitars kick back in. Okay, so that'll be the fill for the second half. Yeah, so I don't know if I should go halftime or full time with this, because I want it to gradually get into the halftime instead of just going straight into it. And maybe we can go full-time hi-hat. Maybe that'll be okay. Might change it later to something weird. I don't know yet. Back in the day, I used to be into like really like melodic hardcore punk bands like Counterparts, Saints Never Surrender, Napoleon, bands like that. Hardcore punk mixed with like metalcore, like really mathcore, metalcore. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what that genre was, but that was like my style for a long period of time. I was like really into like technical, like melodic core punk stuff like that. And this guitar riff sort of reminds me a little bit of that. That part of my musical personality, if you will, is kind of shining through here. And it's not even really that technical, but it kind of has that sort of vibe to it. Okay, that's where I was wanting to go with it. Let's see what a really fast hardcore beat would sound like over this. Actually, I did this on accident. This sounds kind of cool, actually, going into some weird snare thing on the next measure. I think I might keep that. Had to put the little rod in there, dude. Just change it up a little bit. Gonna put bass on it. Okay, so I went ahead and added a synth part, and this is what it sounds like on its own. It's just highlighting the root notes of the clean part. Let's listen to it from the very end of that breakdown thingy. Sweet. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Now, I have come up with some ideas for layers and leads, but we do not have time to get into that today. We only had enough time to kind of lay out the foundation for the riff. And so far, I think it sounds really good. But
it could sound better. I really wish I could do the leads, but I kind of want to take my time with the leads, get them perfected, know exactly what I'm going to be playing and track it really well. So that's another reason why we're going to hold off on the leads. But for the guitars, we do not have the second half of this programmed, which I was going to show you guys how we're going to do that. Right here, this is Guitar Pro if you're not familiar. So I found another way that we could tab out our guitar parts and also include the key switches. So whenever you export this from Guitar Pro and import it into your DAW, into Axure, you will already have everything lined up, your key switches, everything. The only thing you'll have to do is you'll have to mess with the velocity layers, and also any offsetting you're wanting to do with your Midi and the left-hand slide noise, because the left-hand slide noise is the only static articulation that kind of needs to be in between notes. I'll show you real quick what I mean. Okay, so here we have the riff, this top one. This is one track right here. And then below it, here is the key switches. Basically, it's set up just like Axure. So the top half is going to be your notes, your playable key range, and then below are going to be key switches. And they are spaced exactly the same distance where each note happens. This does take a little bit of work to set this up. So if you don't mind tabbing out your key switches, this could be for you. If you do not want to do it and you just want to do it in the DAW, that's completely fine. I just thought this was a creative and new way that you can do this. So say you have some tabs from an old song, right? And you want to hear what it sounds like with Axure. I'll show you an example. So we're going to mute the key switches right now, and we're just going to export this. Export MIDI. Okay, we'll go back into the DAW here, and I'll just drag it and drop it. All right. So let's check out the Midi. Cool. It works. You can export your Midi from Guitar Pro into Axure, but you don't have your key switches. And that is the problem. That's the problem with most any guitar MIDI program out there. It doesn't matter what guitar program you're using, they're going to come with their own key switches. So I went ahead and set up a key switch map for you. I'll include that in the link in the description below as well. But it's basically this right here. From C# -2 in Reaper, of course. So the lowest note we can make is C -2, right? But starting from C# -2 is 1. So MIDI note 1 all the way up to MIDI note 96, which is the complete range of key switches and notes in Axure. And it's the same thing in Guitar Pro, how I have it set up here. So what you want to do to make a key switch track in Guitar Pro is go ahead and just add a new track. I've already done it, but I'll show you right here. Make sure it's a MIDI track. Make it a guitar track. And then you want to set your tuning. Just leave it on standard for now, but we're going to change that. So leave it on standard. So you see it puts it at the bottom down here. Make sure that your notation is turned off and you just want the tab portion over here on the right, which is just this little S right here. And you can come over here and see the tuning is regular standard tuning. We're going to change that. Every single string, you're going to click, hold down, and go to the lowest number it can go, which is C -1. And you want every string to be C -1. The reason why I'm doing this is just so whatever note you put on here, it'll correspond exactly with what we have set up for Axure. MIDI notes 0 all the way through 96 are going to be reflected on every string. So just hit keep fingering right here. Also, you could save this as a tuning. So to save this as a preset so you don't have to do this every time, just click on the tuning again and go to these 3 dots and do save as tuning preset. And I'm just going to save it as Axure key switches. Every time I load up now, all I have to do is hit Axure key switches and I already have my key switch track set up. And another thing you'll notice is right here I have the key switches muted, because if you have them playing at the same time, you're going to hear some notes and you don't want to hear that. But you don't want to leave that muted when you export it. That's very important, because if you have that muted when you export, it's not going to give you the MIDI. But just for tabbing purposes, I just have it muted because I know the numbers for the key switches. So MIDI note 14 is going to be sustained downstroke. And that's the same way that you would tab it out in Axure is exactly how you're going to tab it out in Guitar Pro. MIDI note 14 is sustained downstroke. And then this next note here is MIDI note 16, which is a palm mute. The note next to it is going to be a sustained alt pick, which is going to go for both of these 2 strings here. When it gets to this note, it goes back to 14, which is a sustained downstroke. As you can see, it's the same thing as programming in your DAW with Axure. You're just doing it here on Guitar Pro first. The only thing about this is, yes, it does take some time. It's going to take the same amount of time as you programming it in your DAW, because you're going to be programming these key switches inside your MIDI roll anyways. If you do have some guitar tabs that you want to hear what they sound like in Axure fully articulated, this is something that you could do. Now, understand that this is not for everybody, but I thought this was cool. This would probably be a streamlined way to do it so that you don't have to program the key switches manually. You can just tab them out here and you're good to go. Only minimal adjustments from here. So if your Guitar Pro doesn't look like mine and you can't see both of those tracks right underneath each other, all you have to do is go to View and go to Multi-Track, or just press F3. And then you can see both of your tracks right here in your notation. That way you can make sure that your note is going to be directly below where it needs to be and correspond to each key switch. Okay, so when you go to export this, you have to make sure it's not muted, because when you mute it, it's not going to include that MIDI in the file. So both of these are unmuted. Let's go here and go to export as a MIDI file. I'm just going to save it over again, and I'll just drag this back in here. You want this to be a multi-channel item on a single MIDI track. And then now it lines up. Now, as you can see here, all the key switches correspond. This first note is going to be a sustained downstroke. The next key switch is a palm mute downstroke, like we said before. And then the next one after that is sustained alt pick. So everything's lining up. And also our notes are correct. Everything's in the correct spot. You don't have to do anything. The only thing you have to do from here is just mess with your velocities, or like I said, offset any notes you want, make them shorter or longer or whatever. And then also your left-hand slide noise, because that's a very special case sort of noise where it needs to be kind of strategically placed. But other than that, everything lines up. Let's hear it. So like I said earlier, you would have to take these palm mutes and change velocities on them. Sweet. So yeah, that's just another workaround for Axure. You don't have to do it this way. I understand that some people would much rather just program right there in the MIDI roll, but just in case you are a person that uses Guitar Pro and you want to kind of minimize the amount of work that you're doing, you could just do it all in Guitar Pro, export it, bam, all your key switches line up. You would just have to do minimal work after the fact to get it to sound exactly how you want it to. Just thought I would bring that to your attention. So this riff is actually not in this song. And by the way, Axure is 25% off this month. If you want to learn more about Axure, go to studysoundaudio.com and you can use code MIDI now at checkout for an extra 10% off. But yeah, this riff is not in this song, so we're going to just delete that. Let's just do the first section of it so I can show you exactly how it works. What I would have to do is change this guitar to a 7-string guitar. All right, let's save this tuning as drop G sharp. Just to show you how this works, I tabbed out the first little chordy riff right there. So it goes. So the first key switch is going to be a sustained alt pick, which is 18. So we're going just from back and forth from palm mute to sustained alt pick. So those are the key switches. All right, so we're going to save this and we're just going to place it. All right, I don't want to import the tempo. I just want to import the MIDI. Wait, hold on. Let's double check. Ah, see, there we go. We ran into the mistake. We left that muted, the key switch is muted, so we didn't get the key switch information. So that's a good learning point right there. Make sure that you're unmuted there so that you can have that key switch information. So we'll do it again, export MIDI. Sweet, it works. I didn't have to do anything other than maybe I will have to adjust some of the velocity layers in the palm mutes. Other than that, I mean, it did exactly what I needed it to do, and it was seamless. Note velocity, 42, just the Axure guitar. Okay, let's listen to the DI. Take the Helix native off of it. Sounds good. This is just the tone that I've used to play out of with my guitars live. I actually need to go in here and fine tune a actual tone for Axure, because right now this tone for the Axure is a little too muddy. You can't really get that much note clarity out of it. And that's my bad because I'm using live tone for it. So I need to build a tone for Axure for this. But so far, I mean, it doesn't sound that bad. It could sound better. Definitely sound better for Axure. But let's hear it again with the tone on Axure. Cool. All right. So that's basically how you take Guitar Pro and export MIDI from Guitar Pro into Axure. Let's hear what it sounds like. The master on. I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of plugins on the screen. I haven't done that in a while, just to show some support on the stuff that I'm using. Of course, we got to represent with the Axure. We have to. You know me. I don't change, man. I don't change. We got that GGD, modern and massive. Get Good Drums loads pretty quick, but for some reason, Grove bass takes like 8 years. We got some bass. All right, let's check it out. Okay, I like it. I think it sounds really good. Actually, my favorite part of what I wrote is the clean section. I think that fit very well, that sort of break with the clean. For some reason, all of those melodies together sound really cool. I still feel like it's missing something, maybe like a production element or some underlining like bass notes, maybe from the bass guitar. I don't know yet. We'll have to experiment more. But also, like I said, I do have some plans for like a very leady section underneath all of these rhythm guitars. I hope you guys learned something today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. All right, so that's episode 12. I think this one has a lot of potential. It's still kind of bare bones right now. It needs more layers, leads, a little bit of production stuff. There's just so much we can do with it, but I only had enough time to lay out the skeleton for it today. So make sure you tune in next week where we're going to be doing the leads and the production stuff for this track. But yeah, so far still loving the 7-string. It's been fun. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff, and we'll see you next week.